All right, friends, welcome back to What Lies in the Sunday Telegraph. We had a little hiatus last week while I felt unwell, but I feel much better now. Thank you for asking. Not a good thing to be feeling unwell in a time of corona. Let me tell you, the jokes are quite cruel. But yes, so what is in the Sunday Telegraph? The purpose of this video is to explore its contents. Australia's #1 selling newspaper, let us never forget. So, up from the top of the page, exclusive baby bones found at sect farm, page 7. Page 7 for the mass graves in the Sydney religious sect. Page 7. In some worlds, that might have been your page 1, just not in this one. My second act, Stella guest editor Lisa Wilkinson on her new life and lasting love. So this is the advantage of calling your glossy lift out Stella. Then anyone who does any work on it becomes a stellar thing. Not really fooling anyone, are they? All right, exclusive diggers on a mission to find 50 million masks for medicos. To find sounds a bit vague, doesn't it? The army is on standby to collect more than 50 million masks from overseas to protect Aussie doctors and nurses treating patients. I've got a weird feeling I'll be sending the Air Force. Maybe the Navy if we can wait 6 weeks. But when we get to page 9, we'll find out. Now, worth noting, Sunday Telegraph normally puts a blonde woman in a pink dress on the cover, but today it almost looks like a newspaper. I'm slightly concerned that we've gone with Asian women as we talk about coronavirus. That they are wearing masks. They seem quite nice. Let's see where we go with this. Also, patients to delay surgery, cleaners to blitz trains, and police beg to stop loo paper fights. Only the best of Australia gets in a knife fight at a Coles over a packet of Quilton. I don't know, if there was none left and I knew my house was low and someone else had taken, 6 packets, leaving me none, I start to develop a feeling of sympathy for at least one side of these supermarket knife fights. Page 2 is a Woolworths ad. Page 3 is all about Barnaby Joyce and his love life. Look at that. And it's an interesting political yarn. I'm interested Renee Valeris has written this, whose byline I've never seen before. Let's go through this. It's called Bounce Back. Barnaby's love lands job with Maverick Nat. So this is Vicky Campion, the woman Barnaby left his wife and children for to have a new baby. Former staffer. Vicky Campion, the woman who became Barnaby Joyce's love interest amid a high-stakes scandal, has been controversially hired by a maverick federal MP. Do you think he comes from Barnaby Joyce's National Party? He does. New Deputy Speaker Lou O'Brien, who called a spill last month in a bid to return Mr Joyce's Nationals leader, will employ Ms Campion to ramp up his media profile in a bid to get better outcomes for the bush. I'm not sure that's why he does want a better media profile. I think he wants it so he's more electable. And also he's doing a favour for Barnaby to further his political career, just like he did a favour for Barnaby by moving the spill, and he did a favour for Barnaby by leaving the party. So you pretty much got, I would say, what's his name? Lou O'Brien. That's just a Barnaby Joyce finger puppet. Hello, Mr. Joyce. Females in prison rampage. Could have called them women, decided to call them females. 3 female inmates have allegedly caused tens of thousands of dollars of damage to a jail office after locking themselves inside an hour-long rampage. This is at Silverwater Correctional Centre. According to police, the trio of inmates forced through the door of the guard office inside the Mum Shirl unit and locked the door behind them. So this terrifying rampage appears to have actually been some sort of protest, but really from reading this, you just think they're awful. So according to one insider, the inmates damaged the computers and sent emails to Channel 7 and 9 newsrooms claiming they were being held hostage. Damaging the computers, trying to send emails, I'm really sensing a level of stitch up here. and a much more interesting and sympathetic story, but we're not going to get told that by the Sunday Telegraph. A murder charge has been laid. A man has been charged over a stabbing murder in a Western Sydney backyard. Jay Lupton, 28, was arrested at a Seven Hills home during a 4 a.m. raid by police on Saturday. His arrest was the culmination of a 2-week investigation into the stabbing death of 23-year-old Heidi Jawahara on February 23. And Sun Yang's Aussie coach has cut ties with China after the ban. So Dennis Cottrell's trying to preserve his career. It's a newspaper departing from control. So normally on page 2, but today, because Woolworths money's way more expensive, we have Mix Picks, which is the editor's best, what he thinks is the best things in his newspaper. Just think, this is someone who's spent a career climbing these lofty heights of journalism. And number one thing in his newspaper, his weekly newspaper that he has all week to work on, is grab a bonus Coles stickies. Buy the Sunday Telly today and get a stickies. It's that time of year again. The popular Coles collectible stickies are back. The series of Stickies Fresh Friends are now available with your groceries from Coles, and today we are giving you a chance to collect a bonus one with your newspaper. Happy collecting. Gee, Woolworths will be really thrilled with this, won't it? It's paid for page 2. Maybe that's why it paid for page 2. Number 2 best thing in this newspaper is Lisa Wilkinson is guest editing Stella Mag. Not anything that's in the Stella Mag as a result of the editing, just that Lisa Wilkinson has gone to a newsroom and said, I think those stories are the ones we should put in here. Because she's Lisa Wilkinson, and she's married to that Peter Fitzsimmons dude with the red bandana who writes some books and no one reads them and no one remembers why he was famous, but he's everywhere. Right, number 3 is Worse Than War. Cinema buff Lee Patch examines the devastating impact coronavirus could have on the movie business. That's your number 3 take. And it's just on the movie business. Vegan food, that's fun. The Accidental Chef, adding a little spice to vegan cooking. Her best recipes are in Delicious on Sunday. 4th best thing in the newspaper, according to its editor. Who runs the world? Girls, trailblazing female travellers share their best adventures. Okay, number 6 is Power Meals and Big Deals, and it sharp looks at the restaurants where the big decisions are made. Now, one thing, having eaten at a few restaurants where political movers and shakers like to gather, the reason they like these places is due to their relationships with the owners, which gives them a very different experience to what you as a punter walking off the street might, for want of a better word, experience. So it's interesting, and if you've got $50 to blow on lunch, why not go to Machiavelli's and see if you can recognise anyone there? Or the Griffith Vietnamese takeaway in Canberra is a great spot for watching Labour types. And the Griffith Vietnamese, more so than Machiavelli's, will give you a good meal at a good price, even if you're not important. But the experience is singular if you're with the important people. So, number 7 is Game Changers. We pay tribute to the incredible women taking your health to the next level. It's a woman wearing some sort of bikini setup, possibly activewear. I'm not sure how she's affecting your health or my health, but we'll get there, I imagine. Although it's in the lifestyle lift out, which we normally avoid. Delicious month out map. Don't miss the deals on offer in week 2 of Sydney's biggest dining out festival. That's the 8th best thing. And best mates team up for footy season. Lift out inside. Page 5, we learn that Terry Irwin says, I do love Russell, but we're not lovers. She's never loved anyone romantically since losing her soulmate Steve Irwin. She's also saying the rumours that she's been linked with Russell Crowe, Hugh Jackman and Paul Hogan. Hugh Jackman, I believe, is still married. Anyway, all the rumours are false. She says the most flattering fake relationship she's been in would be Russell Crowe because he's such a good person and a very good friend to our family. Alright, so apparently this is Irwin, who spoke out to mark International Women's Day by talking about all the men that people think she's sleeping with. Women must stand up and stop apologising for taking up space and be kind to themselves, which these things are all true. Deported man is a risk to women. A man convicted of domestic violence is being deported back to New Zealand after a tribunal ruled he was a risk to women, despite his partner saying she still wanted to be with him. News Limited's recent coverage of domestic violence is one to watch. They seem to be thinking it can be used as a weapon. That said, domestic violence is wrong, and I don't have a problem with the people who perpetrate it getting what's coming to them. So, just one to watch. A bit like the way they turn the anti-vaxxing stuff around away from a public good into a crusade against their enemies. Year-long wait for childcare cash. Hundreds of thousands of Aussie families relying on government-funded childcare have had money withheld from their household budgets for more than a year due to built-in tax designed to prevent bill shock. Alright, it's all about the timing of your childcare payments. Great. And Meghan has stunned on a secret art visit. This is Meghan Markle, not any other Meghan. She's managed to fit in a secret trip to the theatre in London despite the eyes of the world being on her for her final days as a senior royal. The soon-to-be retired royal visited an immersive art exhibition at the National Theatre as she said goodbye to the UK. News of her trip on Instagram. She was wearing a white $57 Topshop blouse and a pencil skirt. I'm glad the Telegraph managed to get the plug for Topshop in there. Okay, so page 7, we get to baby bones in shallow grave. Shock find on sex property. The remains of at least one baby have been found on New South Wales property owned by members of the controversial Christian sect, the 12 Tribes, police sources have revealed. Too early to confirm whether the remains belong to one infant or two. Also, classic car tax battle is revving up. Classic car collectors are taking on the Morrison government in a battle over a hefty tax placed on imported vintage vehicles. Who will think of the luxury car collectors? We also learned that killer virus targets pig farmers. Farmers have been told to be on high alert for the arrival of another killer virus with the deadly African swine fever nearing Australian borders. Confirmed in Indonesia and East Timor. It'll be interesting to know if there is any pig trade between Australia, particularly coming into Australia from Indonesia and East Timor. My understanding is there's very little, but I guess if it's nearby on the map, we can ramp up some hysteria or sell some newspapers to pig farmers. Page 8 and 9, we got a double strap of contagion, 6 new cases, 554 cases under investigation, 6,000 cases tested and excluded, which is all things that haven't happened. That 22 confirmed cases, 23,000 passengers assessed, so again, they're reporting on a negative. 77 sent for further testing, another negative. It's a whole bunch of numbers to scare the crap out of you, though. Give up your bed for virus victims, Linda Silmalis. Patients waiting for non-urgent treatment for ailments such as a niggly knee could be asked to postpone their surgery as hospitals search for ways to free up beds. So the whole complete lack of capacity in the health system, once again, brutally exposed. So there's a picture of staff at Central disinfecting trains for the Telegraph's camera. It should be noted. I guarantee the fleet of 4 cleaners working a very small patch of train is only assembled when there's someone important. So a state government task force will examine worst-case coronavirus scenarios on public transport, including reducing services to cope with an outbreak among the workers. Now here's the story. They're still tagging Army, Anarchist Medhurst. The Army may be called in to collect 54 million masks from overseas to protect Australian medical and aged care workers from the virus. Fearing traditional supply routes will close, the federal government has ordered the military to be part of the mission. Look, they keep saying Army, but I would have thought you'd be using a C-17 and that's Air Force. I find it quite weird. If they end up using Army helicopters to go foraging overseas, it'd be a bit slow. Police tell public to wipe out panic after punch-up. An all-women punch-up over toilet rolls has prompted a stern warning from police to stop the panic. Video of the fight in the aisles of Chullora Woolworths in Western Sydney went viral yesterday. I feel there's some poverty shaming going on in this reporting as well. So the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference has urged parishes to stop distributing communion from the chalice. Churchgoers have also been banned from receiving communion directly into the mouth, a tradition some Christians have practiced their entire lives. There is a theological issue with touching it. I mean, not a real one, but if you believe in the whole process of the body of Christ, there are reasons that's a bit problematic to you. But I guess this is a learning experience for all of us. All right, more on the 2 more pages on Contagion. I love how they've buried this special 8 pages in. Charles Miranda's got a story on the crisis planning, and there's an operations manager in the National Incident Room, and he's got a big monitor behind him, and that's got balloon images of where people are springing up with the disease. That's all very exciting. Ever-spreading red dots pulsing across the planet. Economy. If China doesn't stop sneezing, our economy will be sick. Our economy is grinding to a halt in every which way. An old Ebola drug may be new virus cure. So that's a Sue Dunlevy special, just a pharmaceutical industry drop. Jane Hansen reports on the scramble for the vaccine. Fist bumps are the safest celebration while coronavirus is active. I'm not sure about that. It's still handy, isn't it? Classrooms are seeking online solutions. Schools and universities in Australia are readying themselves to teach classes virtually. Yeah, in fact, white children have to go to a school. This is an interesting one in 2020. Record labels and major music agencies have banned their non-essential travel for their employees, and artists are cancelling or postponing tours to Asia and Europe. All Australian labels have been told promotional tours by international artists are off. Apparently Eurovision is also under consideration. I know they cancelled South by Southwest yesterday, which is a very big deal of a festival in the US. Okay, the World Cup final. Our girls have come good. And Katy Perry has joined the party. Katy Perry has been pictured with the Women's T20 Cricket World Cup trophy. A pregnant Katy Perry says she's ready to roar, and a sellout crowd at the MCG might just be roaring back at her tomorrow. Hot on the heels of announcing her first pregnancy, Perry will perform at the Women's T20 World Cup final. I'm excited to bring the music, she said. Well, I'm glad Katy Perry's getting involved. It's good. Apparently a statue of a Vietnam-era war dog, Caesar, has gone missing from Edmondson Park Railway Station. Veterans are outraged. Okay, now we're attacking Asian students. I mean, students and Asians. That's two things this paper has issues with, isn't it? Thousands of foreign nationals meant to be in Australia on short-term study visas are spending up to a decade in the workforce with authorities powerless to stop the rot. A Sunday Telegraph investigation into student visas has discovered a system in crisis, with rejected international students spending up to half a decade appealing Department of Home Affairs decisions that they have to leave. While they wait for their appeals to be heard, the rejected students, who in some cases are not even enrolled in a course, are spending years on bridging visas which give them unlimited work rights. Right, he who should be PM, says the Telegraph, Mike Baird, it's hard to keep track of the Bairds, is leaving the door open for his return. I actually thought Mike Baird was a reasonably decent Premier of New South Wales, I'd have to say, but it's a long shot from not in any parliament at all to Prime Minister. Wants more time in the surf, living near the water as he does. Right, Jack Morfitt reports on how Peter's trying to kill dolphins. I'm sure there's some misunderstanding or willful misinterpretation going on here. Animal activists are demanding a group of captive dolphins be released out to sea, even though they would almost certainly kill them. Yeah, there's an issue with dolphins that enter captivity because they are not doing well in the wild, and then they become domesticated and they won't do well either. I would be more interested in hearing directly from Peter as to their thoughts on all of that, because when you ask them, it turns out they've generally got some good ideas, but not when you report them the way the Telegraph does. Australian rock legend Jimmy Barnes is doing the ad for Fox League's dynamic new television promotion, which is worth the whole of page 17 to tell us that Foxtel is showing football. Foxtel shares owners, of course, with this newspaper. And NRL battlers, the Cronulla Sharks, have lured Aussie music legend Daryl Braithwaite to rock their new suburban home ground. Braithwaite, 71. There's your star power, 71-year-old rock stars. So apparently some horse race owners are fighting over the trophy for that horrible Everest race, which apparently is diamond encrusted and worth $320,000 because, Sydney racing. We have the story of a baby born on the 29th of February who won't get too many birthdays. Doesn't that joke never get tired? Here's a small one that might deserve more attention. Standing by Dan, the ABC Kids Music Division will continue to represent embattled singer Dan Sultan while his upcoming indecent assault case goes through the courts. They're adopting a wait-and-see approach. The blues artist turned kids entertainer released his first children's album through the ABC in 2018. It's a historic case dating back to 2008, and if it terrifies you that 2008 is now historic cases, it certainly terrifies me. I await the court's findings regarding Mr. Sultan with interest. Property special, prices rising as fears coronavirus may derail expected market boom. I think coronavirus is going to strip bare some facades in the Australian economy. And you can hope to see some tall poppies brought low, but you just know it's going to be people with less who copper the most. City enjoys bulk of $2 billion in taxpayer-funded treatments, while battlers and those living in the bush have to suffer. Help for rich, not for poor. An ethos utterly alien to everything else in this newspaper. Although people with horses, they do like. Not really poor, are they, if they've got a horse? Anyway, Jane Hansen warns that our mental health system is a dangerous mess where the poor and the bush can't get help, while the city's richest residents enjoy abundant taxpayer-subsidised care. I'd be very surprised if there's abundant care anywhere. Oh, here's a strap for you. Rampage, knife attack, robbery, car crash, vicious crime spree of angry teenage gang. They had some sort of campsite outside of Byron Bay, apparently, this gang. All wards of the state in Queensland. 3 boys aged 12, 14 and 16 and 2 girls aged 13 and 14. I mean, it just sounds like a horrible story of lost children. Just turn them into a threat to public safety and engage in some tut-tutting of the kids of today, eh? Right, The Source, political gossip with Annika and Linda. So, we've lost Miranda. So all we're talking about in our first item is that Parliament House, some loo rolls ran low. It was a sitting week. They were restocked. And someone had spoke to a real estate agent who reckoned loo rolls are getting stolen at open houses. Apparently, Science Minister Karen Andrews, it's not fair that Labor people have been saying mean things about her. I don't think you need to comment on her gender or her hair colour to say she's a disgrace of a politician and just a shill for the coal industry, trying to destroy this country for the benefit of a very small number of shareholders. See? They do that without bringing in her appearance or agenda whatsoever. Right, the fight for the heart and soul of the Liberal Party with the property developers is going on. Apparently the nation's lobbyists got bulk emailed by attorney generals which failed to use the BCC field. One high-profile Liberal lobbyist known for his lavish gatherings saw the bright side. It's a good list for a party. Networking at its best. Right, Jane Hansen brings us more medical hope. Cancer's targeted by AI machine. An artificial intelligence machine, eh? Right, so the Varian Ethos radiation machine uses artificial intelligence to take what Mr. Buchanan refers to as an internal roadmap of the organs and tissues, which the machine can then avoid to target the actual cancer. I reckon it probably is a job being done using some form of AI, but it didn't need an AI to do it. So the North Connects motorway will be the first tunnel in Australia to have lighting designed to keep drivers alert. Snitch, the Law and Order gossip with Ava Benny Morrison and Brendan Hills. The latest instalment of the high-profile Buttrose family bus stop is set to hit the courts. Richard Buttrose, the nephew of ABC doyen Ita Buttrose, is taking his sister Catherine Evie to court, claiming she is holding $8,000 that is rightfully his. Oh, I love the way the rich and famous can. Buttrose has been on the straight and narrow since he was released from jail in 2017 after a 9-year stint for dealing cocaine. More recently, he has been involved in a bitter dispute with his sisters involving his mother's estate. Ugh. That's a very eastern suburb story, isn't it? So there's a group of lawyers who call themselves the Bondies who've been caught disparaging judges on a Facebook group. They have issued an unequivocal apology to the judicial officer whose reputation was besmirched. The Bondi Club apologises to His Honour and regrets that such a comment was made. The group exists to assist and support practitioners. It's very 2020, isn't it? Poison bait drops sparks firestorm. Poison bait will be dropped from helicopters above bushfire-ravaged land to kill foxes against the advice of dozens of leading scientists. Scientists want the predators shot, trapped or fenced out, saying there is an unacceptably high risk unusually hungry dingoes, goannas and quolls will eat the baits they come across. I'm not sure why you would not listen to the scientists. So there's a weird story about an American called Rishi Sharma who's out here interviewing World War II veterans. It's headlined "My Quest to Remember the Titans," and if they're enjoying talking to him, great, but it seems it's good publicity from him. The Cell, so we're onto the real estate, another real estate page. There's so many out there. Parramatta Eels captain Clint Gutherson is set to be busy off the field over the upcoming season. He has spent $2 million on a renovation project in Collaroy Plateau, about a kilometre back from the beach. Great. Jackie O's open house in Vaucluse has attracted lots of inspectees. Okay, so dine where the deals are done. Who have we got? Chiswick in Wallara, Pendolino in the Strand Arcade, Rockpool Bar and Grill Sydney, not hard to guess that one, La Rosa in the Strand Arcade, Mr. Wong in the Establishment Hotel, Catalina at Rose Bay. Next page, we get the other 6-power restaurants. Right, Iceberg's Dining Room and Bar at Bondi, Aria Circular Quay, it's a place called Saddles at Mount White, which apparently John Singleton likes to go to. Benelong at the Opera House, Azuma Japanese Restaurant at Chifley Square, and Otto at Woolloomooloo. Anyone surprised? Then we've got a big map of Surrey Hills, and we get some sport. So the final of the Women's T20 World Cup is on, I think, today. Oddly, we've got, the weather's going to be sunny, TV's live on KO. I can't see an easy mention of the time it's going to be on. Thanks, guys. It is tonight. There we go. I might celebrate International Women's Day by watching that myself. Who said there's never any interesting news? In fact, I'm going to have to look up an external app to find I suppose I could have looked at the TV guide that's in this paper. They're always trying to get you in, aren't they? Right, so the game changers of International Women's Day are the women of the wellness industry. I find that quite revolting. I think the wellness industry is more detracting, tearing down, stealing money from the community than building them up or working for their health. Okay, so page 81, we're talking about the production of Warhorse on stage and how hard it is to make a theatrical puppet horse. World, the Telegraph is celebrating the Biden comeback, as of course you would. Yesterday, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick added his name, as if anyone, even in Massachusetts, gives a damn. Woody Allen's publishers decided to cancel the planned release of his memoir apropos of nothing. Apparently dozens of Hachette employees staged a walkout. Serial strangler has confessed byline Fort Wayne. A man who claims he has killed more than 90 women across the country, probably the US is the country we're referring to, confessed to strangling 2 women in Indiana on the same night in October 1980. Samuel Little, 79, has confessed. He is in prison in California serving life sentences for other multiple murders. Still on World, we're back to the Corona specials, Search for a Cure and a Little Perspective. Dateline Geneva, no byline. Phoenix, Arizona, we learned that an 82-year-old bank robber has been caught at it again. That's all you know. Now, in Dateline Riyadh, anytime we actually talk about Saudi Arabia is worth paying attention to. What have we got? Fears over Saudi royal crackdown. Saudi authorities have detained 3 royal family members, including 2 senior princes, signalling the powerful crown's prince is tightening his grip on power. He doesn't do anything else, does he? Taken from their homes by royal guards after being accused of treason. It's a little more serious than that, because they're going to get killed for that. Right, Scott Pape, the barefoot investor, is still using his full page of a national newspaper to talk about his fire experience, which has just been going on for a few weeks now. Peter Credlin, court oversteps mark, and then we have a picture from the castle with Dennis Denuto just to make it clear what do those lawyers know. So Peter believes the High Court of Australia has overstepped the mark, and she knows better than they do. When the High Court decision was first brought down 4 weeks ago that Aboriginal people could not be aliens subject to immigration law, politically correct commentators said the decision would make no practical difference. Well, it didn't take long to discover how many foreign-born criminals would claim Indigenous ancestry if it might allow them to stay in Australia. Good on you, Peter. I'm glad that's the worst thing you've got to deal with, talk about. Thumbs up to Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt. He's as smart as a whip and one of the most experienced ministers in Cabinet. That he's in charge of the coronavirus response should give us all confidence that we're in good hands and hopefully end the mad stockpiling. Well, obviously, he's been Health Minister for a while, so brilliance isn't actually helping, is it, Peter? Thumbs down to revelations in the Senate that every wind turbine in Australia costs us $600,000 on average. Worse still, over 70 our cent of wind farms are foreign owned. Let's go through the sentence word for word. I'm going to get it right, I promise. Worse still, comma, over 70 our cent of wind farms are foreign owned. I think she means 70%. And is that cost on average, including the electricity that they are generating? What a nasty little jab on behalf of her coal industry puppet masters. Peter Craiglan, the other little finger puppet. Peter Gleeson offers a fix for our toilet troubles. I think this is a bidet joke. Yes, it's a bidet joke. For a whole column on a bidet joke. Okay, and Lucy Kahn tells us that Sisterhood Gush Fest don't solve real issues. Well, I'm glad Lucy Kahn's going to take a pop at Women's Day on Women's Day. On your sister. Piers Ackerman. Headline, Science will beat coronavirus. Great pity there's no such cure for climate alarmism. That's because we need to shut down your coal industry buddies to fix it, Piers. That's what the science says. Natasha Welsh, light in our darkest time. Right, her husband appears to have died, and that's very sad, and her employers were nice to her, and other people were nice to her. If only her experience was universal. So the Sunday Telegraph, fresh from its owners News Limited shutting down AAP to stop its competitors buying its products, which is nice if you're in a position to do that, isn't it? Is saying tech giants are driving media upheavals. If you believe in journalism and cherish your right to know the truth, you're already part of the solution by buying a newspaper. Well, I am the saviour of journalism. You folks out there, not so much. I guess I'm also destroying journalism by producing this, in a way. Anyway, they're blaming Facebook and Google for AAP's demise when the company was profitable, had been generating hundreds of millions of dollars from all sorts of investments over the years. That money kept getting pocketed by its shareholders who've now shut it down because they don't want the Daily Mail or the Guardian filling out their copy with AAP stuff. Warren Cartoon's making a joke about Darryl Braithwaite. That's not entirely clear. It might also be a joke about Scott Morrison, but that's a Warren Cartoon for you. Auctions talking the market up, unreserved optimism. Of course it is. Right, Ben Affleck's The Way Back gets 4 stars. Affleck Shoots from the Heart. There's a thriller called Undertow that gets 3 stars. Military Wives gets 3 stars. Spencer Confidential gets 2 stars. That's Mark Wahlberg's latest. The book club once again is featuring a HarperCollins book, which is owned by the same owners as this paper, the Murdoch family. And Fiona Lowe is writing novels about family and relationships. We also mention a book by Simon & Schuster. Hey, there we go. There are other publishers, who'd have thought. Apparently, Patti Smith is not ready to say goodbye and is defying doctor's orders to make one last visit to a country she loves, which I think is us. I don't know what we've done to deserve that, frankly, because Patti Smith's awesome. Let's be honest. Patti Smith is going to make lots of money by touring here, and we're going to give that money to her, and that's one of the better places we'll spend our money. Duncan Lay is reporting on a Mighty Ducks reboot, a live-action remake of Mulan. Apparently the movie business, here we go again, is facing its biggest crisis in 110 years. I don't know, if we're all quarantined at home for 2 weeks, we're going to watch a lot of movies. Star Wars correspondent Duncan Lay informs us that the new book, novelization, The Rise of Skywalker, is going to explain some unanswered questions about make-believe things that aren't real. Apparently Karl Stefanovic is about to break up with another girlfriend. I know he's splitting with his agent, Sharon Finnegan. My apologies to Mr. Stefanovic. Insider Confidential tells us Lottie Moss is hoping she won't. Oh, there's one thing she doesn't want to see. She doesn't want to see spiders when she's out here for the Spring Carnival. So Annette Sharp's giving quite a sharp critique of Channel 7 dusting off its old men to tell the youngsters how to run a TV network. I don't think they ever had to deal with the same pressures, but there you go. We got live action Mulan on the back page. So that's the Sunday Telegraph. There's no big takeout, just low-level awfulness. Apparently that's what it takes to sell newspapers to old people in 2020. Thank you very much for coming with me on this journey, and I will be back next week. See you then.